Is Sri Lanka's sovereignty under threat? The island country is witnessing perhaps its worst period of chaos since the war against the LTTE. And it's been going on for months now. First, a bitter political battle led to a constitutional crisis in 2018. For 51 days, the country did not know who is the Prime Minister. Two men claimed they were. Barely 6 months later, Sri Lanka was attacked by terrorists. A series of bomb blasts on Easter killed more than 250 people. This was a major security lapse. The attack could have been avoided. Sri Lanka still has not fully recovered. The country remains on weak footing. And at this hour of crisis, the Sri Lankan government could be making more compromises. A potential military pact between Sri Lanka and the United States has sparked an uproar. It is called a Status of Forces Agreement, SOFA. The Sri Lankan government plans to extend some rights and privileges to American defense personnel. They want to allow US military, quote-unquote, easier access to Sri Lanka. The fine print of the agreement is still not clear, and they say the devil lies in the detail. It is still being negotiated or renegotiated because this deal was first made in 1995. It was never finalized. Now, the potential agreement has become the latest flashpoint between the Sri Lankan president and the Prime Minister. President Maithripala Sirisena has opposed the agreement. He says that such a pact could give America free access to Sri Lanka. Here is what he said at a rally last weekend, and I'm quoting, "Some foreign forces want to make Sri Lanka one of their bases. I will not allow them to come into the country and challenge our sovereignty. The fear is that this agreement would lead to a permanent American presence in Sri Lanka. They could potentially turn the island nation into a military base." And this is a valid fear. We all know what happened to the Hambantota port. Sri Lanka took loans from China to build a port. They could not repay the money. Left with no option, Sri Lanka had to hand over the entire port to China on a 99-year lease. In a balancing act, now Sri Lanka has tried to improve its relationship with America to counter Chinese influence, perhaps. Up until recently, Colombo was too dependent on Beijing. Last year, the US gave a $39 million grant to Sri Lanka. This was specifically for maritime security. America, on its part, has clarified that it has no plans to set up a military base in Sri Lanka. Last week, America's ambassador to Sri Lanka issued a statement saying as much. The fact is that no single country can be allowed to dominate this island nation. It sits close to one of the world's busiest shipping routes. It's strategically very important. China has steadily increased its influence in Sri Lanka. It became a major investor in the country. The Chinese have been involved in building key infrastructure projects in Sri Lanka. India, alongside America and Japan, have begun to push back against China, and this is perhaps one of those steps. But before we break down the geopolitics, let's dwell on the domestic politics. The battle between the president and the prime minister has intensified. It was a dramatic day in Parliament today. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe faced a vote of no confidence. During the debate, a parliamentarian made a major claim. This man is Vimal Veerawasana, and he's saying that the Prime Minister of Sri Lanka is lying. He claims that the government is hiding details about the defense deal with America. The actual draft of the deal was never presented to the cabinet. Now, reports say the cabinet received just 7 pages of the draft, but the complete agreement runs into 83 pages. So what is the government hiding? What do the other 76 pages say? I'm afraid we do not have the answers just yet. What we can tell you is that there was a fair bit of drama today. Finally, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe won the vote. It's also safe to say that this isn't the last we've heard of the row. We'll keep you posted.